It's time now for our Proceed halftime update. If you need seed, think Proceed. With me today is Proceed sales manager David Blue. David, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about some of the problem weeds out there, and obviously how your product helps potentially eliminate them.
Well, I tell you what, most farmers right now are starting to notice some weeds that Roundup's just not getting, especially in their soybeans. And you know, Proceed has a full lineup of solutions for them. So you know, one thing I learned a few years ago from some of my friends down south is if you got some problems, you got to start taking care of it. So if you got some ragweed, if you got some water hemp out there and you got some issues, we got to start to deal with it, whether it's changing your mode of action, using pre's, you know, a totally different herbicide. So Proceed will have a full lineup coming up this next year of Extend soybeans and List soybeans, pending approval, and a good supply of Liberties.
So if I'm having those kind of issues, I just call you or obviously my district guy, and he'll come out and take a look at it and figure out what my strategy is for next year? Or?
Yeah, definitely. You know, so go to www.proceed.net. That'll get you in touch with us. Call our office. They'll get you in touch with the nearest Proceed dealer, and we'd love to come and take a hand and help solve your problems. We
can't wrap this thing up without you getting to comment on such a huge game. The North Dakota Super Bowl is back. Quickly, your thoughts.
All right, on. So I am a Grand Forks guy. You know, I got to do it. You know, go Sioux. You know, we're proud of Coach Bubba. He's doing a great job, and hopefully we can come out there and, you know, and just, you know, give a good, hard-fought, you know, North Dakota football game.
That was a great coach's answer, man. I appreciate that. As a sales manager, you got to be a coach, so that was perfect. Again, that's our Proceed halftime update. If you need seed, think Proceed. Stay with us. Much more coming up. First half analysis right after this. Welcome back to the Proceed halftime report. We got some great first half highlights we want to share with you to kind of kick things off here. If we can get those rolling and walk them through. But obviously, big first half here for NDSU. Not necessarily what I think most people anticipated. But here you can see UND coming out, getting ready for the big rivalry game. And Carson Wentz, well, there's a great sack to kick the game off there with UND. But from then on out, I think Carson Wentz started to stand things up. DJ, here's the big punt return.
This was a huge play for momentum just to get UND, you know, to get something positive to start the game off. I thought their defense, actually UND's front seven played pretty solid until that second quarter. They just wore down. I mean, it just got to start getting
That's
bad.
Being kind. We'll go through some stats here in a moment, but you know, they can see then here's obviously the field goal to get UND on the board. And I think many of us said, okay, hey, they're on the board. This thing might turn into a game. Things are heading in UND's direction, but again, it was off that special teams play. Then NDSU gets back on the board here towards the end of the first quarter. And then once this happened, I think the landslide began. NDSU came out full tilt. The offensive guys just started running up and down the field. Great sack there. I believe that's our man Steedle. He was actually the defensive player of the week last week for NDSU. He comes up with a big sack there.
You got to love a D lineman making a play like that up the middle.
But we like the quarterbacks even more, don't we, DJ? Throwing touchdown passes like that.
Yep, finally NDSU's passing game was the total difference in this first half.
That's our boy Shep right there. Shep is having a first half. He had a great punt return as well, a couple of big catches. And this is another big play here. RJ, this is what blew me away in this play, DJ, as we were watching the game. That was 3-on-2 right there with a wide receiver as a blocker front. Still, RJ beats him. This is the play that we talked about in our
Here it is. Here's the wheel route, everyone. It's right there. Do you see that linebacker got caught up on the inside? Nothing he can do. Nothing you can do there.
He can do right there. So great play. We broke this play down in our pregame. The Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show saying, hey, the wheel route has been a money play for the NDSU Bison this year. And again, another money play for 6 as Chase Morlock takes it to the house off the wheel play again. Now, we don't typically sort of toot our own horns here on the show, but I think we will a little bit today because we talked about our keys to the game early on. We said, look, the offensive line has got to step up against the 3-4. Other than that one sack, it's been outstanding what the O-line has done.
NDSU's offense is dominating the line of scrimmage. Defensively, look what they're, I mean, they can't do anything. UND can't get any positive yards. They're in constant second and third down and long. This looks like old school Bison defense. Back in the day, Luke Schaefer, Ken Clark, back when the rivalry was big 10, 20 years ago.
Let's bring up the North Dakota State seed stats report if we can. And again, talking about some of the keys we mentioned earlier in the game, a couple things I want to go through. Rushing yards. So UND had given up 67 rushing yards in the previous 2 games. Today in the first half, NDSU already has 83 rushing yards. Hopefully we can bring those stats up. Another thing, because I talked about one of the keys to the game was going to be ground and pound. Clearly, they're out grounding and pounding UND at this point. One of the other key points we talked about was third down conversions. I said, look, if these guys are converting on third down, that means that the UND defense is on the field longer than they have been this entire year. You're going to see some stained drives. They're going to get worn out. Remember, UND 6th in the nation in holding offenses and third down conversions. It was like 6 for 30 for the entire season. Today, NDSU in the first half, 6 for 9 on third down conversions. Obviously, the score dictates what's going on.
And then you flip it to the other side. How many first downs does UND have on third down?
They don't have any first downs, period.
UND needs to show up offensively, and Studsrud needs to play more like a stud and make some plays in the passing game, or this is even going to get worse.
Total yards for UND in the first half, you want to guess? You can count them on one hand. 5 total yards for the UND offense. They've obviously got to do something there to turn this thing around. So, any thoughts on that?
It's you put your defense for UND. They put their defense in such a bad situation. What can you do when you're on the field the whole game? That Bison offensive line, they're just playing right into what they want. They're going to take over. Love how the Bison are throwing the ball down the field, both with tight ends. Yeah, he dropped a touchdown, but over the seam there with the tight end and the flanker slot has been fantastic.
All right, coming up, we're going to give you what needs to happen here in the second half, obviously for UND to make some changes. But next, Alex Egan's going to walk you around the Missouri Valley Conference. Some big games taking place today. We'll tell you about that right after this. Welcome back to your Proceed halftime report. All right, we're going to turn to DJ here for a moment, being a defensive guy. Bubba Schweigert, obviously a defensive guy as well. Take us inside the locker room, DJ, and I want you to put on your best Bubba hat that you can right now and tell me what's going on in that locker room.
I can't say that stuff on TV, but I'd be yelling at my O-line and my quarterback to start getting some first downs, make this game respectable. There's a lot of pride here in this state and this region. I mean, we want to make this a good game.
I mean, yelling's great, but I want to know some adjustments. You're going to walk in there and go, okay, guys, here's what we got to do to make some adjustments. I mean, is there anything they can do?
Offensively, we got to get some easy passes. Just in and out. Our quarterback was inaccurate at times. We got to get it out the ball quick.
Alex, can I get you? Maybe turn your hat around, give me your best Bubba, or?
No, honestly, I think that's what's going to have to happen. They need to start taking the easy plays, start making something happen on the offensive side of the ball. For NDSU, keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. All right, let's take you back out to the big Fargo Dome as we continue to watch this game with our team, Beth Hool, Lee Timmerman, and Brian Shawn. Team, take it away.